Tonight, bus budget bust.
That is significant revenue shortfalls that obviously local taxpayers will have to bear.
A significant dip in the region's ridership.
You can't just flick off a switch. There are certain costs that will be borne.
Why enrollment at Conestoga College is facing blame in the transit shortfall. Plus, getting set for snow in southern Ontario.
This year, all of our fleet is 100% ready to go.
How crews are preparing.
We have our winter shifts already on, so the weather that's potentially coming over the weekend, we're more than ready for it.
As winter weather inches closer. And a glow.
Our goal is to detect cancer in the earliest form.
Lighting up 1 billion brain cells.
It's really consistent, a few spikes.
How local researchers are detecting and diagnosing cancer.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us. Declining international student enrollment at Conestoga College is being blamed for a major budget shortfall at the region of Waterloo. A new report says Grand River Transit is anticipating an $11 million deficit this year, and the dip in enrollment is facing criticism for the drop in ridership. CTV's Jeff Pickle joins us live from the college tonight. And Jeff, there's many factors at play here, but it comes down to the taxpayer bearing the brunt.
Well, Leanne, you can file this under the unforeseen cost of a major policy change with the federal government allowing in fewer international students. That means fewer bus passes are being sold. And now the GRT says it's too late to scale back operation, and that leads to a major loss in revenue.
The buses are running, but with fewer students on board.
There is a significant shortfall in revenues, primarily due to Grand River Transit's ridership.
According to the region of Waterloo, year-to-date, GRT is behind $7.9 million, a number that's expected to be over $11 million by the end of the year.
That is significant revenue shortfalls that obviously local taxpayers will have to bear.
Regional Councillor Michael Harris says the region was forced to spend big when ridership was high, but is now left holding the bag.
A few years ago, we had a massive influx of international students coming into our community, where ridership spiked significantly, and investments had to be made in order to accommodate, that new ridership.
According to the region, it's too late to drastically scale back plans to cut costs. The report says due to communication standards, it is too late to make service level changes that will impact our operating expenses.
But you can't just flick off a switch. There are certain costs that will be borne.
Harris says federal policy changes and post-secondary funding from the provincial level are also to blame.
I partially would blame provincial government. Federal government's clearly got their hand in this as well.
Conestoga College also laying the blame on the federal government and the sudden shift to drastically reduce international student enrollment. They say Conestoga provided the most accurate enrollment projections available at the time. And like many colleges in Ontario, Conestoga has faced a significant decline in international enrollment, with approximately 20,000 fewer international students this fall compared to 2023. With many institutions to blame, but only one group bearing the brunt.
And now local taxpayers will be saddled with the decrease in enrollment because usually it's local taxpayers left holding the bag at the end of the day.
Now, students at Conestoga College and the other post-secondary institutions pay for that GRT pass with their student fees. So when there is a large fluctuation in those student numbers, clearly it has a big impact on the budget. Leanne?
Certainly, Jeff. Okay, thanks for that. CTV's Jeff Pickle joining us live outside of Conestoga College tonight. Well, a drop in GRT ridership isn't the only thing being blamed by the dip in international student enrollment. 80 programs at Conestoga College could be cut by next fall. But that's not all. The union representing full-time faculty at the post-secondary institution says by the end of the year, 75 staff members will no longer be employed. CTV's Heather Centerin joins us live with that part of the story. Heather, let's start with the elimination of programs. The dip in international student enrollment is taking center stage for this blame as well.
That's why Conestoga College says several programs are being cut, but the college didn't specify how many. The college also did not confirm upcoming layoffs, but the union says they've known about it since September.
Conestoga College has around 700 full-time faculty members, but the president of the union that represents those employees says not for long.
So that gives a total of 75 fewer full-time faculty and counselors at Conestoga by December 31st this year.
OPSU Local 237 says that means about 10% of the full-time faculty will be gone by the end of the year. That's 15 laid off, 4 that resigned, 37 are taking early retirement, and 19 took voluntary exit packages out of 416 who were offered them.
It's never good for the individuals. It's, of course, devastating, especially since people who come to become a full-time faculty or counselor or librarian at the college or any category, they're doing it out of commitment. They're doing it not as a job, as a calling.
In addition, the union claims 80 programs will be cut, including the program Leopold Koff teaches, supply chain.
And they will be taught out, which means those students that are currently in the programs will be able to continue and finish their courses and their programs. But once that cohort is gone, then that will be the end of the program.
Conestoga College confirms several programs next fall will be suspended, but says they haven't yet determined how many, saying in a statement in part, despite efforts to promote and sustain these programs, enrollment number trends are not sufficient to continue offering them in a way that meets our academic and operational standards. The college says program cuts are due to declining international student enrollment. The college says program cuts are due to declining international student enrollment, which is down 77% for the fall term compared to 2023, amid the federal cap on international students in 2024. The college notes domestic enrollment is up 16% compared to 2023, but is it too little, too late?
Unfortunately, while the international students were the number one focus, technically, I guess they turned their back on domestic students. And then, as we know, it's easier to retain a customer if you do the right things than it is to try to recover customers you've lost.
The college did not confirm or deny the loss of 75 full-time faculty, but did stress that program cuts are not made lightly and reflect the college's commitment to maintaining quality.
Well, the colleges have to survive. And so, therefore, they're going to do what they feel is best, whether we agree or disagree with how they're doing it.
The union believes it all boils down to funding and says the province should be doing more to help.
The province told CTV News in a statement in part that due to the federal government's changes to the international student visa permit process, schools like Conestoga are making difficult decisions, adding that their government has stepped up with the highest funding for the post-secondary sector in Ontario's history. Leanne.
CTV's Heather Centerin. Heather, appreciate it. Thank you. A little bit of gloomy skies, a little bit of sunshine. We've seen both in Waterloo region today as we head over to CTV's Alexandra Pinto in studio. Alex, it's been a gloomy week. We've been talking about it all week. So whenever we see that little bit of sunshine, it's so nice.
It is really nice. And it was really nice to see it earlier in the week around Tuesday, a little bit of peeking through the clouds out there today as well. So hopefully you had a chance to get out and enjoy because, yes, more cloud cover and potentially wet weather, and maybe a little bit later, some snow could be on the way, which we'll get into just a bit. But first, looking at our satellite and radar map, we're noticing, yes, that cloud cover over us here still in Waterloo region. Getting into the overnight, we could see it start to develop a little bit more. And then looking ahead to tomorrow, that's when we could see another system and some more rain headed towards our way. Okay, temperature-wise, yes, we are continuing to dip down. Only 3 right now here in Waterloo region, 3 in the city of London, 4 in Sarnia tonight. So many of us in southwestern Ontario sitting in that single-digit territory. It is feeling more and more like fall. Yes, we're officially, midway through fall at this point, and getting closer to more winter-like conditions as well. We're going to break down when we could see the chance for some mixing and, as I mentioned, possibly some snow during your weekend. So that and more in your full forecast. Leanne.
Okay, Alex, sounds good. Talk to you later. Money to help businesses build roads and infrastructure, and a deficit in the billions. Those are just some of the highlights in the province's fall economic statement released earlier today. It comes amid ongoing concerns for the labor market in light of U.S. tariffs. CTV's Siobhan Morris has the details.
U.S. tariffs cast a dark shadow on Queen's Park and the latest fiscal outlook. Recycling the title of the spring budget, the plan to protect Ontario shows a lot of downward trends. The deficit is $1 billion smaller than projected in the spring, but it's down arrows for economic growth, employment, and housing starts. The finance minister says these trying times call for a steady hand.
They demand that we protect our workers and businesses and national industries from uncertainty.
But there are few new investments here for Ontario residents and businesses under strain. There is $100 million more for a fund to help smaller businesses reach new markets. There's an expansion of a manufacturing tax credit. A $5 billion fund announced in the spring has only paid out $100 million to Algoma Steel.
We've been in the process of adjudicating those applications, and we'll be having some announcements real soon.
Not enough for the opposition. They want to know if there are strings attached to that provincial help.
Workers and their families are lying awake at night worrying about layoffs and plant closures. This premier still has no jobs plan.
The minister says the government acted back in the spring.
$30 billion of tariff supports, $9 billion in deferrals, $2 billion of WSIB rebates that are flowing to businesses so they can stay open, they can meet payroll and compete.
This plan makes official promises of $1 billion more for home care and a tax break for first-time homebuyers on some new homes. But with a predicted economic cool-down ahead,
the minister continues either to be deluded or to not being transparent when he forecasts a path to balance in 2027-28.
As the government builds new highways and contemplates a tunnel under the 401, it's ending the practice of setting greenhouse gas emission reduction targets.
They don't care about the fact that we're seeing increasing costs and risks associated with unsafe weather events fueled by the climate crisis.
Bethlyn Falvey insists they're committed to reducing emissions through things like investing in nuclear energy.
So we're not going to relent, but we're going to focus on outcomes and not targets.
CTV's Siobhan Morris with that report. You may have noticed a lack of orange e-scooters on Waterloo Region roads recently. That's because they've been pulled off and put away for the season. But a new survey reveals they're leaving a lasting economic impact. Here's CTV's Alexandra Hollick.
Stacked and stored away after another season in Waterloo Region.
Riders clocked up over 235,000 kilometers this year in the region, which is really impressive.
Neuron Mobility operates e-scooters across the Tri-City area. And this year it found more than half the trips people took included economic boosts to local businesses.
Our riders are spending during their trip, so on their way to or on their way back, the average spend is about $25, which is injected over $3 million in the local economy over the past year.
That includes coffee shop and lunch stops, daily commutes, and the odd errand run, especially in the hearts of the cities. And while it can be difficult for businesses to notice customers scooting in, the Uptown Waterloo BIA says the program's rollout has had many benefits.
It helps folks to get around, and even for our neighbors, the neighborhood folks, to get to different events and activities in Uptown, so that every little accessibility and mobility access helps our businesses.
This year's e-scooter season ran from April to October and racked up some surprising statistics.
Our most extensive trip was by one rider, and one trip was 45 kilometers, and one rider accumulated 95 kilometers of travel this year.
But the scooters have also sparked safety concerns. This Waterloo business owner says he often sees the scooters late at night.
They're fast, and they rock and roll, and I think they're dangerous in this, especially in the core.
Waterloo Regional Police say there have been 19 e-scooter incidents on the roads so far this year, but it isn't clear how many, if any, involved Neuron Mobility. The company says keeping riders safe is a top priority.
The safety profile of these devices is much higher than a private use scooter or other incidents that may have been reported here in the region.
Alexandra Hollick, CTV News, Waterloo.
Well, Alex mentioned snow in her first look at the forecast, and parts of southern Ontario could see the first snow of the season this weekend. In Waterloo Region, that means cleanup crews are preparing for the upcoming season. CTV's Karis Mapp has more on the efforts by the local government and private contractors.
The snow may not be here yet, but salt is stocked and crews are preparing.
This year, all of our fleet is 100% ready to go. We have 15 snowplows that run 15 routes with a few extras as spares just in case.
Once the snow hits, 52 regional plow drivers will work around the clock to keep roadways clear, and they'll have some help from local municipalities.
We have regional roads in the country and regional roads in the cities. That's a big distinction that the cities themselves maintain the regional roads for us within the city limits.
We've been prepping since the summer, to be honest. We do our training through the fall, of course, and that is a combination of classroom as well as behind the wheel.
Even private companies like SOS Snow Removal are buying safety salt in bulk to be prepared.
We have about almost 100 tons bought out for this season, so it just better be safe than, sorry.
The company offers season-long contracts or day-of services.
Times are hard right now, so we kind of split the payments into two, just because we want to make sure our clients get the supplies of salt first, and it does cost a lot nowadays, especially with the tariffs and stuff.
Regardless of who they represent, officials say they're ready for anything after last year's dumping of snow.
We saw increase in snowfall last year, increase in duration, increase in intensity. This year, again, we have no idea until the winter comes, but we are prepared for whatever Mother Nature brings.
Large snow events like last year are just a significant issue.
Sunday is when Waterloo Region could see its first snowfall of the season.
We have our winter shifts already on, so the weather that's potentially coming over the weekend, we're more than ready for.
Crews reminding residents that patience is key when it comes to snow removal, and abiding by the rules during snow events makes it easier for everyone involved.
If people can remember to remove their cars off the road, that really just helps us to get through the city and complete our job as efficiently as possible.
Karis Mapp, CTV News, Kitchener.
Coming up, charting a new course in an effort to bring more affordable housing to Guelph. The plan to build fourplexes on 2 pieces of land owned by the city. CTV's Colton Weens has the details coming up after the break.
Yes, some snow could be on the way for part of your weekend, but not before we see a little bit of wet weather. First, I'll break it down in your full forecast coming up a little later.
Download the CTV News app and stay on top of local stories as they unfold.
We go to a dramatic scene unfolding.
Customize your feed and watch live wherever you are. CTVKitchener.ca, your home for news.
The city of Guelph is officially getting into affordable housing with plans to build its own units on city-owned land. It's a break from tradition, as Wellington County has historically managed low-income housing. The city says it's an opportunity to provide help. CTV's Colton Weens reports.
The city of Guelph is planning to build affordable housing units on its city-owned land at 7 Eastview Road and 5 Normandy Drive.
It's exciting because we're stepping into a space that we've never stepped into before.
On Tuesday, the Committee of the Whole unanimously approved a plan to build a fourplex unit on Normandy Drive, as well as 2 fourplex units on Eastview Road.
Have some city infrastructure on them, like a well or some underground infrastructure, which is why we are not going to sell the land. We're going to actually keep the land, but we're going to lease the opportunity for the homes to be built.
According to Guthrie, the city would use federal dollars from the Housing Accelerator Fund to pay for it and find a third party to operate it.
I thought it was important, and council thought it was important, to look internal at our own assets and land first. And that's why staff came back and said, yep, we agree. Here's 2 pieces of land where we can get all of these units up and running at an affordable rate.
Affordable housing in Guelph is managed by Wellington County. Warden Chris White says the county could end up being the manager for these properties, and any additional housing is welcomed.
We don't have enough of the housing. So if an individual municipality wants to step up and add to that housing stock and get some people into a home, we're all for it.
CTV spoke with several neighbors at both properties who did not want to appear on camera. Many were surprised by the plans, but no one outright opposed it. But the owner of 7 Normandy Drive says the city told them they would never build on the adjacent land. City Council still needs to give approval to the plan and will discuss it at its next meeting on November 25th. Now, Guthrie says residents will have the opportunity to provide comments surrounding this project and can do so by signing up to be delegates for the council meeting at the end of the month or by sending emails directly to Guthrie or any other council members. Colton Weens, CTV News, Guelph.
November is Radon Action Month. As the leading cause of lung cancer in non-smokers, radon can present a serious health hazard. Experts say it's important to test your home for the radioactive gas.
The most important place to start in your home is to start in your basement. In particular, if you have a bedroom in the basement or people live in your basement, or perhaps you have a children's playroom down there or a bedroom where your child sleeps in your basement. Those are the parts of the house where the gas is most likely to come and to stay in the house. It's a bit of a heavy gas too, so it will stay in your basement.
You can watch the full interview with Dr. Nicola Mercer, the medical officer of health in the Guelph area, over on our website. That's ctvnewskitchener.ca. Did you know your brain has a glow? Wilfrid Laurier University researchers have built a helmet that measures our brain's billions of cells which give off light. And as CTV's Spencer Turcotte tells us, they can use those light emissions to detect and diagnose cancer in its earliest stages.
We put gel into each of these 19 electrodes.
It looks like a mad science experiment.
So it just sits snugly on top.
And it kind of is, but this mad science has the potential to save lives.
The general gap that we have in cancer detection is that we're completely reliant on biomolecules, genes, and physical constructs.
Wilfrid Laurier Assistant Professor Narosha Murugan is the brains behind the quest to find another way to detect the disease. Her team of researchers landed on the light that our cells emit.
If we're trying to look for a way to non-invasively detect brain cancer with one of the most common aggressive forms is glioblastoma, we kind of need to tease apart the signals.
So using ultra-sensitive detectors to pick up individual photons, sensors in this helmet record the electrical and photonic landscape of our brains.
Our goal is to detect cancer in the earliest form.
It's really consistent, a few spikes.
The trouble with current cancer detection technology is that it requires an accumulation of cancer tissue captured by imaging or biomarkers that may be hard to access or is too far along once found.
What we mean by early is that when that single cell starts to make a decision to go from its healthy state to something that's what we consider not normal.
Catching it at the single cell level could lead to earlier diagnoses and lower risk of mortality. Now Murugan is working with a medical oncologist to track patients undergoing chemotherapy to see if they can identify cognitive impairments following treatment. If successful, the magnetic fields may also have the ability to halt progression of psychiatric illnesses.
I think our technology has the potential to be on the preventative side.
A no-brainer in her eyes when it comes to pushing cancer research and overall wellness ahead. Spencer Turcotte, CTV News, Waterloo.
Okay, live look outside this hour as we approach that 6:30 mark on your Thursday evening. We've been talking about snow that we could see in some parts of southern Ontario this weekend. But first, a little bit of wet weather. Alex is going to break it all down in the full forecast coming up after the break. Also ahead, flight cancellations south of the border as the U.S. government shutdown drags on. What Canadian travelers need to know before heading to the airport. And Drake accused of using bots to boost numbers on Spotify and reaping the royalties. The allegations laid out in a class action lawsuit against the streaming service. Okay, I hope Alex and I aren't alone in this, but we've been talking about how every day we come in, there's still leftover Halloween candy all around our office, and we just can't help ourselves.
We can't. I may have been sneaking some in between the show, and that's okay. We need a little bit of a sugar kick.
It's just so good. I hope other people have the same problem at their office.
I think, you know what, we're going to blame it on the weather, because once it starts getting a little bit gloomy, cloudy, cooler, we kind of want to get into a bit of hibernation mode. So
we all need a sweet treat.
We all need a sweet treat for our sweet tooth.
Yes.
Teeth? Yes.
Our sweet teeth.
So take a live look outside. That sun, yes, setting 5:07 earlier today. So the day's getting shorter and shorter, and that sun rising just now after 7 o'clock in the morning. So once we get into the overnight, we could see a little bit more of that cloud cover start to build up. Hopefully you had a chance to get outside and enjoy a little bit of that sunshine, because we might not see it for quite some time. So getting into the rest of the evening, that cloud cover expected to develop overnight. And then really for your Friday, this is when we could see a chance for more wet weather and active weather heading towards our way, making its way towards the east right across southern and southwestern Ontario. So really it's not until the weekend, though. And so we potentially could see maybe some flurry activity or a chance for some snow. Now, when we talk about the snow at this point, Sunday is what it's looking like. We could see anywhere from a bit of a dusting to a couple of centimeters possible as well. And in terms of a high, we should be sitting around 3 degrees by Sunday. But yes, getting into your Saturday, this is when we could start to see a little bit more of that mixing condition. Okay, temperature-wise, a little bit north, -8 right now in Moosonee. Quite a bit chillier compared to what we saw yesterday. -3 in Timmins, -1 this hour in Sudbury, and a little bit closer to home, 2 in Mount Forest, 2 in London, 4 in Goderich. Here in Waterloo Region, we did hit a daytime high of 6 degrees. That was set around 2 o'clock this afternoon. Right now, though, we are sitting at chillier 3 degrees out there. Overnight expected to dip down to 0, cloudy with, again, just a 30% chance of showers is what we're seeing for this evening. And then tomorrow, 9 degrees is our expected daytime high. That cloud cover still sticking with us. And this is when we could see, as we saw on our futurecast, the rain making its way towards us heading east. Now that rain expected to change to drizzle by the afternoon at this point. So we could get a little bit of a break in terms of some rainfall on and off. We're sitting pretty close to seasonal, slightly below where we should be for this time of year. Overnight low, though, 0. That's pretty much where we should be for this point in November. And yes, that sun rising 7:04 and setting 5:07 p.m. officially now. So for the next several days, yeah, rain or drizzle like we mentioned for your Friday, Waterloo Region. High of 9 degrees expected. Saturday, looks like we could see just a bit of cloud cover, high of 6. And then Sunday, that is the day potentially we could have our first snowfall officially. Again, anywhere from a light dusting, a little bit of snow, to possibly a couple of centimeters at this point. So something we're going to be keeping an eye on our future cast, especially tomorrow, to see what's the update with that. And then Lambton, Kenton, Essex, periods of rain expected for your Friday. Pretty balmy, 14 degrees, so definitely above seasonal in terms of your daytime high. Then a bit of cloud cover and a chance to see some more wet weather for your Sunday with a high of 4. Overnight, though, you should be getting down to about -2. And southern Georgian Bay, want to keep that umbrella nearby tomorrow as well as you wrap up the work and school week. High of 8 degrees. And then a slight chance to see a little bit more active weather on Saturday, with a chance, again, you as well, Sunday, potentially some snow in the forecast. And here is tonight's Weather Watcher picture. We're going to be sticking with snow, and this is appropriate. Paul Richards says, and so it begins, sending us a snapshot of the first snowfall on the Grey County ski hills as squalls moved in off the shores of southern Georgian Bay along the Niagara Escarpment. This is what it looked like in terms of kicking off the day. A sight, though, Leanne, I'm sure many ski and snowboarders, especially when we were talking about maybe that first snowfall, getting a little bit of a sneak peek, and I'm sure they're very excited as this is just the beginning for all of that fun winter activity. So thank you so much for setting this, Paul, and being tonight's Weather Watcher.
Okay, I'm making a vow this winter to get more into skiing because I think it will make me like winter a little bit more.
If we can really embrace it, layer up, it's what being Canadian's all about.
Got to get into the winter activities to enjoy it.
Exactly.
Alex, thanks.
Thank you.
New York, Los Angeles, and Chicago are among 40 American cities slashing airline capacity. A slowdown in flight traffic that begins tomorrow and could affect Canadian travelers. It's the result of a government shutdown that's now the longest in U.S. history. CTV's Heather Wright on the ripple effect expected through Canadian systems.
It's a standard Thursday at Canada's largest airport, but travelers are bracing for turbulence.
It's really unfortunate.
Transportation officials in the United States plan to slash air traffic by 10% at 40 major airports, including New York, Washington, Chicago, and Los Angeles. Reductions set to begin Friday. The Federal Aviation Administration and U.S. Transportation Department say traffic reduction is necessary to ease pressure on air traffic controllers and security screening agents who have been working without pay during the 36-day U.S. government shutdown.
If I was working, I sure as hell wouldn't want to be working without any pay.
This has worsened staff shortages, caused widespread flight delays and long security lines at American airports. And since many Canadian travelers are bound for U.S. destinations, both passengers and carriers here are expected to feel the pinch.
They're not exempt from this reduction. They will be affected by it. And the question is going to be, what does that mean?
WestJet says so far their operations have not been impacted. We are continuing to monitor the situation and proactively manage our operations to minimize any potential disruptions going forward. While Air Canada says we are monitoring the situation and awaiting more details. Adding, for customers who may be connecting onto U.S. domestic flights operated by our partner United Airlines, we have put in place a goodwill policy to allow them to change or defer their travel with no change fee. Experts warn even domestic flights could be impacted. For example, a flight from Toronto to Vancouver spends about half of its flight in U.S. airspace. Now, carriers could opt to fly through Canadian skies to avoid any disruptions, but that would add another hour to the length of that flight. Heather Wright, CTV News, Toronto.
First-hand accounts of experiencing war and peacekeeping missions as members of the Canadian military. Still ahead on CTV News, students at a Guelph High School hear from veterans ahead of Remembrance Day. Ashley Bacon will bring us that story coming up. A major class action lawsuit has been filed involving the streaming platform Spotify. It alleges millions of streams were artificially boosted and some artists benefited with inflated payouts. CTV's Adrian Gobriel reports.
You used to call me on my cell phone.
For Canadian rap royalty Drake, Spotify has been his own hotline to bling, cashing in an estimated $350 million off the streaming service.
And I know when that hotline bling.
Though this scathing lawsuit alleges that Drake has profited off of a fraudulent streaming scheme. The lawsuit is against Spotify. Drake is not being sued, though his name appears in the suit 32 times. The allegations against him paint a roadmap of alleged fraud. Filed in a California district court, the suit states that Spotify knows or should know that music streams for a particular song have been artificially and fraudulently inflated through the use of bots.
If we don't have strict rules and laws around streaming of music, we're going to see a lot of fabricated numbers.
A Spotify spokesperson says the company in no way benefits from the industry-wide challenge of artificial streaming, going on to say they use best-in-class systems to combat it and safeguard artist payouts.
It would benefit them a lot to exaggerate the amount of people that are using the streaming service.
You hating on numbers untouchable, they got the data wrong.
The lawsuit claims that over a 4-day period in 2024, at least 250,000 streams of Drake's song No Face originated in Turkey, but were falsely geomapped through the coordinated use of VPNs in the United Kingdom. In September, Drake became the first artist to reach 120 billion streams on Spotify. The platform pays out royalties through a stream share model where a pool of money is divided based on each artist's total streams.
It's the smaller artists that are being affected the most.
Requests for comment from Drake's representatives have so far gone unanswered. The lawsuit notes that while Drake is being used as an example, there are others. He doesn't stand alone. Adrian Gobriel, CTV News, Toronto.
Okay, let's recap our top stories tonight with CTV's Krista Simpson live in studio with us. With the latest, Krista, our top story tonight, declining enrollment at Conestoga College being blamed for budget shortfalls at Grand River Transit.
Leanne, Grand River Transit is anticipating a revenue loss of about $11 million this year, and they say that's largely due to the fact that ridership is down because there are far fewer college students in the community. For its part, Conestoga College is pointing to the federal government's international student enrollment caps, saying they couldn't anticipate or plan for such a scenario. Grand River Transit says it is too late to scale back operations this year. Meantime, Conestoga College is preparing to cut dozens of programs due to the decline in international students. The union representing full-time faculty says as many as 80 programs could be cut by next fall. It's also expected that 75 full-time staff will depart the college by the end of this year.
Okay, Krista, and over on our website, an update on one of Kitchener's most beloved couples who have moved as the cooler weather sets in.
Yes, Leanne, true snowbirds, Victoria Park's famous swans, Otis and Ophelia, they have left the park and they are now at their winter home. The pair now settled in at a wildlife facility in Elora, where they will be for the next few months. For more information on this story, you can scan the QR code on the bottom left of your screen to get the story on our CTV News app or to download the app right now. You can also visit our website, ctvnewskitchener.ca. Leanne.
Well, it makes us all happy to know they're off to their sanctuary together for the winter. Krista, thanks. Hearing the stories of those who were there, students at Our Lady of Lourdes Catholic High School in Guelph heard the experiences of veterans who represented Canada in every major conflict from World War II on. CTV's Ashley Bacon reports.
Though they have passed on, they will be remembered and not forgotten.
From World War II to the conflict in Afghanistan in the 2000s, veterans were on hand at Our Lady of Lourdes Catholic School to speak to students about their military experiences.
It's one thing to just hear about it through my teacher and read about it in textbooks, but actually seeing the people made it feel a whole lot more real, and it kind of lets me reflect more on my remembrance.
Just hearing their stories and what happened to them really shows their honor and loyalty to our country.
While himself just a teenager, William Seifred enlisted in the Canadian military during World War II. During combat, he lost his hearing. Now, decades later, and at 100 years old, with the help of his daughter Linda, he's telling his story.
They didn't know what they were really getting into. Somebody who joins the military today has a better understanding of it. And my dad, of course, grew up on a farm. They didn't have a car. They had never traveled anywhere. And there he is, off by sea to London and then over to France, and had that time as a soldier.
Linda says William has only just started opening up about his experience.
It's important to share his story now. Until my dad was 90, we never knew one thing about his service.
For others like Elaine Pettigrew, being in the military was a different experience as a woman. She says it would be nice to see more women enlist.
They need to know what's going on in the world, and they need to be prepared. It's tough life out there right now for a lot of them. So I'm hoping that, I'm hoping a lot of the women will join up, because there's so much more they can do now.
With around 10 generations separating some of these vets with the students here, the connection was closer than ever.
A lot of them mentioned that they got their youth taken away from them, and I think that's really just truly brave for them.
Taking moments to remember those who fought for our freedoms. Ashley Bacon, CTV News, Guelph.
Remembrance Day is next week. If you'd like to take in one of the ceremonies happening Tuesday, our web team has put together a list of the ones happening in our local communities. You'll find it on ctvnewskitchener.ca. Well, it is the most famous pull-out couch in the city of Toronto and maybe in the entire country. Still ahead on CTV News. Now on display, the sofa where a Blue Jay slept before hitting a record-setting Grand Slam. Baseball fans flock to have a seat on a piece of World Series history. With the pain of the World Series loss still fresh for some fans, the Blue Jays top brass spoke to the media today. As CTV's Sean Leathong tells us, they were both reflecting on the past season and looking ahead to the next one.
Days after the World Series ended, the Rogers Center sits still. Some packing done for the off-season, with small pieces of confetti remaining on the field from a celebration fans didn't want to see. Not far away, Blue Jays president Mark Shapiro giving his year-end news conference with a different feeling than in years past.
When you think about giving your life to working in sports, you do so for the moments that you think you might be able to lift a community. But you never imagine what it could mean to lift a community coast to coast.
This year's Jays team got within one run of winning the World Series and seemed to captivate not just Toronto but the country. Shapiro saying that it was for reasons beyond wins and losses.
This is a world-class city, an incredible place to play. It's the best ballpark or one of the best ballparks in all of Major League Baseball. We care deeply about our players. I think that their families and wives have been testament to that over the past week.
While fans may not be ready to let this team go, the business of baseball is moving on. Bench coach Don Mattingly will not return next season after having been with the club for 3 years. Pitcher Shane Bieber will return, which has been welcomed by the club and fans. Pitchers Chris Bassett and Max Scherzer have expressed a desire to return but are free agents. And then there's the question of Bo Bichette, the team confirming they have made a qualifying offer but expect Bichette to test the open market. GM Ross Atkins saying the Blue Jays will be a bidder for Bichette, but there are no guarantees fan favorites will be back.
Constantly be thinking about getting better, and that is one way to think about carrying on what has already occurred and improving upon what was good, but you just have to be open to other ways to doing it.
But within the Blue Jays front office, there's a new bar for success as the comeback kids who almost won it all.
You never go into a planning cycle, which is what Ross is leading our group through right now, in the process of leading our group through, without some understanding that you just can't recreate something identical. You've got to build off of what happened.
And now that season is in the rearview mirror, and work begins on building for 2026. Sean Leathong, CTV News.
We have more news ahead. First, let's check in with Alex.
Developing cloud cover as we get into your overnight hours. We'll take a look at how your morning is looking at this point and wake up weather coming up after the break. Here's your Thursday night lineup at 7 o'clock. Stick around for Eat Talk before Georgie and Mandy's first marriage. Then at 8, it's Hell's Kitchen before 911 Nashville. And Grey's Anatomy is airing at 10.
Tonight.
I can fix that.
Fresh off of brain surgery.
This is the moment, right? When you turn this thing on. Your eyes are welling up.
The moment of truth.
So I'm going to turn you on.
Tonight on CTV National News and at ctvnews.ca.
A girl's dream, a woman's journey, a queen's legacy. Tina, the Tina Turner musical, hits the stage at Center in the Square for 3 performances November 28th and 29th. Enter at ctvkitchener.ca now for your chance to win a pair of tickets.
Okay, let's check back in with Krista for a look at what our team is following for later tonight. Krista.
Leanne, we have new details on a house explosion in Fullerton, west of Stratford. It happened on Halloween. No one was hurt, and now fire crews have identified what they believe is the cause. That and more tonight at 11:30.
Okay, Krista, thanks very much. And Alex, one last check on the forecast tomorrow morning. How are we looking?
So getting into the overnight, we mentioned that 30% chance of showers is what we're seeing, and that cloud cover expected to develop. But getting into your morning tomorrow, mainly cloudy to start the day at 6 a.m., sitting at about 4 degrees. And then this is when we can start to see some light rain roll in for us here in Waterloo Region by 8. We should be sitting around 5 and similar temperature-wise by 10. But yes, tomorrow we'll definitely want to pack the rain boots, the umbrella, those rain jackets. It won't be the best in terms of outdoor plans.
Okay, we'll be prepared after this week, that's for sure. Okay, I'm excited for this next story. It might be the most famous pull-out couch in the country right now.
And starting tomorrow, you can get your photo taken with it. CTV's Jessica Smith explains.
Was Barger on your couch last night?
He was, yeah.
The night before one of the biggest games of his career, Blue Jays outfielder Addison Barger crashed on teammate Davis Schneider's pullout couch at the Marriott Hotel attached to the Dome.
He was staying with Miles and then stayed with me last time. My girlfriend's here, so like, he was like, "Can I sleep in the bed with you guys?" And I was like, "No, sleep on my couch. Sleep in the pool. It's a pull out, yeah."
We did have a room for him. That's the irony of this whole thing. And he didn't want to sleep alone, before a big game.
After a grand slam in the 6th inning of Game 1 of the World Series, the lore of the pull-out couch lives on. Now on display in the hotel lobby, with fans flocking in to have a seat.
Is that the couch? No.
With the whole momentum, I mean, we're still carrying it with us, and we're talking about a couch. It's unbelievable. It really is. It's a pretty special story.
And as far as how comfortable it is,
it was squeaking all night. Like,
tough for the back. Pull-out couches are the most uncomfortable thing.
Yeah, it was so funny. I looked over and I just see him just sleeping there and in the middle of the night, and he's a head case, but he's funny.
Well, I think he got a great sleep. I think that's the secret sauce here. He clearly really enjoyed his stay. And again, he looks so relaxed in that picture. It's unbelievable. He's just doing his thing and hit one of the biggest home runs in Blue Jays history the following day.
Giving a whole new meaning to the phrase big comfy couch. The couch will be here in the lobby on display until November the 14th. Then the hotel says they're not sure if they're going to keep it here on display, auction it off for charity, or put it back in its original room. Jessica Smith, CTV News.
I was going to say, Jess better have taken a seat on that couch.
I'm glad she did.
Yeah. Okay, the Jays may not have won the World Series, of course, but these pups are sure to win a spot on your roster. The Kitchener-Waterloo Stratford Perth Humane Society has a dream team, and they are ready for adoption. Meet Addison, Jay, Springer, Vladdy, Bo, and Blue.
Pretty appropriate names, too. Staff say these all-star pups are full of energy, charm, and tail-wagging team spirit. And they're ready to find their coach and forever home. Okay, we've got to get these little pups into their forever homes.
Yeah, they need Blue Jays fans to step up and adopt them. They're so cute.
So sweet, those little faces.
Do we have room for more dogs?
I could have all the dogs.
I know.
And I'm still kind of vouching. We got to get a newsroom pup.
I think we do. And hey, what better than a Blue Jay newsroom pup?
There we go.
I know.
Perfect.
Let's put that up for petition here at CTV.
I'm with you on that.
All right, we'll leave it there. Krista Simpson's back at 11:30 tonight. We will see you tomorrow. Have a good night.
Take care.